Welcome to the Employee to Boss podcast, a podcast for everyone with an entrepreneurial spirit. Every week, I am joined by successful guests in all different industries and stages of business who will share what their experience was like transitioning from employee to boss. This is a resource for you if you're wanting to start a business, go all in on your side hustle, get to the next level in your thriving business, or just hear what it's like taking the leap to becoming your own boss. I'm your host, Haley Hayhurst, the owner of Espresso Podcast Production, a full-service podcast production agency specializing in editing, marketing, and strategy. Let's dive into today's topic. Hey, Rachel, thank you so much for joining me on the Employee to Boss podcast. You are the founder of The Beauty Boost. You started this business in 2015, and it's all about empowering women to be healthy, beautiful, happy, all these amazing things. So I'm really excited to talk all about your journey to starting The Beauty Boost and all about community. So why don't you start off by introducing yourself and telling us what you do?
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited to be here. So my name's Rachel, like she said. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, where I founded the company back in 2015. And the Beauty Boost, essentially, our mission is simply to help women feel empowered, feel healthy, feel beautiful. And we do that through different events and experiences. So we're really targeted on the lifestyle of the women we attract, but we have 4 categories of events. So we have retreats, whether it's a weekend getaway or day retreat, fitness events, empowerment workshops, and socials. And I always just thought it would just be in Columbus, Ohio. But around my 3rd year of doing this, women just started organically reaching out saying like, hey, is this in my city? Or can you recommend something similar? Which is what got the wheels spinning to expand. And then fast forward to present day, we're in 30 cities, kind of putting on the same blueprint, if you will, coast to coast.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm really excited to hear about how you had that growth. But to start, tell us about your journey from employee to boss. What did you used to do and how did you get into, having this community?
Yeah. Well, I worked a ton of jobs. I went to traditional college, graduated. This was way before hybrid schedules or remote jobs or even the word freelancer wasn't really well known, at least in Ohio. So it was very much like go into an office, work 8 to 5, and then leave. And I did not have any entrepreneurs in my family, nor did I have any entrepreneur friends, but I just felt like a restlessness in my soul that this was not the right thing for me. I felt like I was going insane. None of my jobs were really bad or wrong. And I really actually liked pretty much all my coworkers that I worked with throughout all of the years, but I just did not feel settled and I didn't know why. So I sort of felt guilty for not being appreciative of what I had. But I think it's really important to listen to that inner voice. And I had a number of jobs to answer your question. I worked for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital doing fundraising. I worked for a marketing firm like as a project manager in experiential marketing. I worked for Limited Brands, which is headquartered here in Columbus, doing 1 Facebook post a day back in the day, my most boring job ever. And then I had freelance jobs and different things over the years. So to kind of push me in this direction, I really just tried to focus in on, listening to my inner voice and not feeling settled. And at that time, a friend on Facebook, because I was like the main social media platform, put up a post. She was looking for a pro bono coaching student. And I didn't really even know what life coaching was because it wasn't such a well-used term then. But I volunteered since it was free. And that's really what started the whole trajectory of figuring out what I wanted to do. I would meet with her at a coffee shop every couple of weeks and kind of go over the questions she asked me, which at the time were questions nobody I knew had ever asked me or were asking themselves. Nothing like that was taught in school. And then simultaneously, I went through Marie Forleo. She has a ton of free content that I watched for years, but I signed up for her 6-week online B school. And then also the third thing I did was got my yoga teaching certification because at the time I thought Beauty Boost was going to be like a brick and mortar and have a fitness element and those kind of things. But those 3 things together really helped start me in the direction of creating what this is.
I think that's a story that a lot of the listeners will resonate with. Like they like what they're doing, they like their coworkers, but they just feel this restlessness. They don't feel like what they're doing is what they're meant to be doing. So did you have family support through this or did you really just go for it and
I really just
Yeah.
I'm pretty sassy, blunt, and independent always, and kind of rebellious. So sometimes that works in my favor. I would have done it regardless. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
like there wasn't not support and there wasn't support. It was just kind of neutral. But I just went for it, and it wasn't like I just did this and then boom, there's the beauty boost, and it is what it is today. And I just quit my job. So it's kind of like a seesaw. As the beauty boost grew, I
Hmm.
asked to go down to part time at my corporate job. Then as beauty boost grew, I took a huge pay cut, over 50% of my salary, lost all benefits, and worked for a local like boutique, which actually did help me get a lot of contacts for the beauty boost that I still work with today. Then I also was freelancing, teaching yoga and doing some social media work on the side. Again, nowhere near what my salary
Hmm.
was, but I had that end goal in mind. And then as Beauty Boost grew more, I left that part-time job, just freelance work. And then as Beauty Boost grew more, I cut off the freelance work and just fully immersed myself. And that whole beginning to end was over the course of 3 full years. So I was
Wow.
still full-time in an office, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, traveling 2 weeks out of every month while running the Beauty Boost, while teaching about 17 yoga classes a week, while
Oh
doing
my
freelance
gosh.
work. But I would say entrepreneurship is not for the weak. You got to have tough skin. And I also, I would say, at least in my experience of talking to entrepreneurs and what I've gone through, you will never just be able to like step out of one thing and into the next thing and feel totally comfortable. Like you do have to make sacrifices and take steps back with the big goal, to take steps forward long term.
Definitely. So you mentioned you thought it was going to be in brick and mortar. What was the initial plan that you had for the Beauty Boost?
Oh God, I don't even really remember. It was just going to be a brick and mortar, with like one room being more community kind of co-working driven, and the other room having fitness classes, which is why it's really good to have a mentor or business coach or life coach. Because I remember Kim asking me, Kim White was who would coach me, if I wanted to physically be in a place every single day, even though I could have like someone working it
Hmm.
eventually. In the beginning, it would be me. And I was like, absolutely not. That's why I don't like corporate life. So that really helped me realize, no, I don't want a brick and mortar and that overhead and all of that.
That makes a lot of sense. So then you decided to take it virtual. What happened when you decided to do that?
Yes. Well, we're virtual, sort of. Like we're all in person for the
Right.
most part, but we work with different venues, which is actually better than one spot because people really like being able to go to different pockets of town and try out new venues and all of that. So once I decided what I kind of wanted to do, we launched with a website and a Facebook page at the time, and a weekend retreat out in Hocking Hills. And I just wanted to break even. I ended up making like $200, which was great for me.
Yeah.
And but mainly, I saw the impact. I think we had 12 women there, which was our capacity at the time, and it just saw the impact they had and the desire for them to want more. And I was like, wow, we're really onto something. So continue to have consistency of events every month, maybe multiple events. And a lot of Marie Forleo's B School teaching talks about growing, knowing your target audience, growing your email list, being consistent, showing up, all of that, listening to what your audience wants from you. So I was taking all of that in while slowly and organically growing the Beauty Boost. And each year, my income went up a little bit, and I started to create a better business plan with what this was. And then around my third year was when I felt like, okay, my salary is pretty similar to what my corporate job was. Worst case, it doesn't work out. I'll just get another corporate job, but I got to try this. And around that time was when women were reaching out to me, kind of all in the same month, emailing me saying, like, hey, I found out about this, but it's not my city. What can I do? Which is really what got the wheel spinning to be like, why don't we have it in their city? So in Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh are all within like a 3 hour drive. So I was like, okay, I'll just launch it there. Worst case, if something goes wrong, I can drive there. And played around with the business model back then. Um, Today, the business model, we're a licensing company. So each woman in their city runs and owns the Beauty Boost, but has all the overall support of our team, home office, all the guidelines and help that we assist with. So to me, it's like the best of all worlds. But yeah, we started to slowly expand. And in 3 months' time, back in whenever COVID was, 2020, we
Hmm.
went from 5 cities to 17 cities very fast,
Wow.
which can sound good, but if you're not prepared for growth and have all the stuff set up, it can be very overwhelming. Um, and so, yeah, and then just continue to, each year get better, put better trainings together, better systems, processes, expectations, and then just continue to layer on and grow each year.
Yeah. For your first event, how did you find the people that attended? Was it connections you had, or did you start marketing at that time?
Yeah, a number of things like putting on. I did some free events and with the right people,
Hmm.
grew the email list. A lot of what we've really not done paid ads except like the past year here and there. A few of our cities will do like a random paid ad for $50 for a certain event, so it's been very organic. I've never targeted cities to be in. All the women have reached out to me or seen us somehow or had a referral from another city. So, same way with our events. When women come, they typically have a great time, share it with friends, their friends come back, and it just continues to grow and grow. I think at the time, utilized Facebook a lot, following pages where I thought, again, knowing your target audience. So, following pages where I thought my target woman would be following and inviting them to like our page, putting on some free events to grow the email list, and then just making sure we created a good experience so that they wanted to come back. And it just slowly layered and layered. I mean, some of the events were like 10, 12, 15 people back in the day.
Okay, I love that. I know that community is always something that a lot of people want to build, whether it is in person or virtual. Community is everything when it comes to entrepreneurship and what, the fast growth of your company, 17 in 1 year, it's that many people like reached out to you. That really shows me that a lot of people do want these women run, women owned type of events.
Yes, but 10 years. I mean, we're almost going on 11 years. So that
Right.
5 to 17 cities was within a year after 5 years of work and effort layered underneath it. You know what I mean? So I do
Totally.
think a lot of us see, like, especially with TikTok and Instagram Reels and all this, people putting out their businesses and like how easy it is and look how fast I grew. But at least from what true businesses I've talked to and seen, it's not typically the case. It's just like bam, or else that'd be amazing. And I hope that
Yeah.
can happen for people listening. But I would I would always say don't think life is really like that, and it's okay to move at a slower pace as long as you know the direction you're going.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. We do see a lot of like fast growth online, and sometimes it's believable, sometimes it's not. It's all over the place, but I do really thank you for pointing out the fact that it's not this like quick, you're going to make $1 million overnight type of thing. It is something that you have to consistently work through. But I do want to know how you kept your vision in mind, through the 3 years that you were hustling, getting through corporate, like, and then going into your business full time. You're a life coach. So, what were some practices that you did to keep the vision going?
This is an interesting question. I mean, I would always say I've always known what the mission was and who our target
Hmm.
audience was. So like that was pretty clear. But it's not like I would say every year it changes. So
Hmm.
I feel like I never really know what I'm doing. I'm just trying things out and listening back from our women from surveys and testing out different things. And not every single thing's going to be an insane success. I mean, even due to nature of how many events we put on in a year per city. So it's not been hard, I guess, to keep the vision and all of that consistent. But every year we are adapting, tweaking, adjusting things.
Yeah. And who is it that's your ideal, you know, attendee
Yeah.
for these events?
Yeah. The women that we attract are definitely into health and wellness, but not extremists. Like you might still want to go to happy hour and things like that. She's into ingredients, what she puts in and on her body. She's very into self development, not just settling for the mediocre or what society says your life should look like or should feel or should be. Success, whatever that means to her. She's very interested in the community, what resources are out there to make her life easier, more efficient, or more fun. And she spends money on experiential over things and ultimately is coming to these events and joining the Beauty Boost to meet like minded women.
I love that. How long did it take you to solidify that goal?
Like to create the target audience.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I think that's the first thing you should always do when creating a business. Or at least that's what I've always learned. And that's a huge piece of Marie Forleo's like B School. It's like a 20-page document filling out in detail. And I think people get really nervous to hone in on who their target audience is because they feel like, what if I miss out or I'm leaving these people out? But if you try to adapt to everyone, then you reach nobody. So usually, if somebody doesn't align with that, I'm sure there's another group for them where they will align. Just think of restaurants, how many hundreds, thousands of restaurants there are, and they're all out there doing well. But they can only
Yes.
people.
Yes. No, 100%. Has the I know that your business has grown throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that a lot of the women that host the different events in the different cities now reached out to you. So when you started to expand to other cities, what were some steps that you took to probably create like SOPs and standard,
Yeah.
processes?
I would say that's another thing we're always growing and always
Mm-hmm.
working on. Managing people is the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life. Not putting on the events or anything else, but leadership and management. Um, when we first brought in our first couple city owners, like there was no training. It was just me being like, yeah, so here's what you're going to do. And, you know, obviously we had a contract and all of that, but it was very like light, loosey goosey for the training. They're still here. They're doing great. Sometimes I think we almost overdo the training to where they don't think for themselves. So, but now it's like a fine-tuned machine. We use a platform called Notion, which is awesome. If anyone's listening, there's tons of things you can do, and everything has its organized folders with SOPs. Like you said, I actually just updated SOPs this week, though. There's training videos. We have like a 5-week training when people start, and then ongoing. We have ongoing coaching every month with every single city owner. We have team calls. We have a team retreat. We have team co-working days. We have a team Slack, as well as all the pieces home office maintains and provides. So I really try to like set people up for success as much, and I'm here for as much as they need, while supplying all those core components of what they get when they join Beauty Boost.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. That's so
Yeah.
fun. And yeah, I love that. It's just you figure it out as you go, right? That's how entrepreneurship
Mhm.
works. You just figure it out as you go.
Yeah, and it does not need to be picture perfect, which I
Yeah.
think a lot of us think, oh, I can't have a typo, or if I put this out incorrectly, I look sloppy. But I would just say it's the complete opposite. I mean, feel good about what you're putting out there, but it's not gonna. You're probably gonna look back in a year and be like, ugh, cringe. Just do it anyhow because that's how you do learn and grow, and you have to start somewhere.
Yeah. What advice do you have for any woman who's trying to start a membership or community in their community or online?
Like they already have a base, but they want to start a membership.
Yeah, or they just have an idea of they just want to, I have a friend here in Seattle who she moved here. She didn't know anyone. I was one of the first people she met, and she has a business, right? She is like craving these relationships. The way I grew relationships in my business was through podcasting. She doesn't want to do that. She wants to do in-person events. So
Mhm.
for women like her who are craving friendships and relationships through community, what advice do you have for them?
For them starting a business? Well, it was just funny because you mentioned memberships. So I remember back in the day when I wanted to create a membership, I sat down with my coach Adam at the time, and he had out the whiteboard. And a lot of it is not feeling based of what we do, right? Like there's so much research and numbers driven. And so he got out the whiteboard and said like, okay, how many email subscribers do you have? How about blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, based on these numbers and this ratio, you will have 3 members. It is not time to have a membership yet. And I was
Mm.
like, oh, okay, very interesting. So glad I didn't waste all my time on that yet. So I would say anytime you're going to do something like that, and I'm sure there's people that are like, no, I've done it and it worked, and that's great. But majority wise, you need to have a community of following, a base first, an audience of people who are ready to buy and trust you before you just launch a membership, before you've even started the thing. You know what I mean? But if somebody is looking to launch a business, community driven or not, I would say there's definitely like core components I would tell anybody. The big thing I did before I did anything with the Beauty Boost was I kind of soaked in I said I did a year of like a mental cleanse, and I still say the number one thing we look for with city owners across the country for the Beauty Boost, the number one is they need to have is growth mindset. It'll make or break them. It doesn't matter about their background, skills they have, none of it, it's irrelevant. It's the mindset. So not to sound woo woo, but I deeply believe this in my soul. And so I just soaked in as much free content, like on podcasts like this, on watching YouTube videos while I was getting ready for my corporate job, Marie Forleo's free videos, reading books, talking to people, going to other events that existed where maybe even I wasn't really there for the content, but I was just there to meet like-minded people in the room. That's a huge piece. So like surrounding yourself with people that are above where you are or doing things that you want to be doing. It doesn't have to be in the same field, just like if it's entrepreneurship, be around other entrepreneurs. There's so many groups out there now that I don't think was around like 11 years ago when I was starting. And then just be cautious of who you share what you're doing with, because earlier you asked if I had support from family. Sometimes it's the people that care about you the most that are fear-based, small-minded, that will hold you back or tell you why that won't work, or you really need to make sure you have your health insurance or whatever it might be, because it comes from a good place, but it's not helpful. And so I would just say like setting boundaries, making sure you have a good support group of friends, and you're with the right people, because that could easily take you down or it can propel you forward. And then if you don't have a business background, taking a course like Beauty Boost now offers a 1-year program for business owners. Taking a course like Marie Forleo's B School, or getting a quality coach to work with, somebody who's already done it, that will help you move a lot faster and more efficiently than you could on your own.
Yeah. And that was the next question I was going to ask you, is about coaching, because you've mentioned that you had different coaches throughout your business.
Yeah.
I always think that everyone should have a coach. I think I'll always have a coach, right?
Yeah.
But how do you find yours? And then this coaching program that the Beauty Boost offers, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. I definitely think almost anyone can call themselves a coach at a certain point. So
Yes.
it's really, really important that you make sure it's somebody that understands what you're looking for, and that you feel like you have whatever the word is, chemistry with, or like you guys jive together. I would ask to like even chat or see past clients that they've worked with. Um, Let them know like what success means to you by the end of the program. I've worked with a handful of coaches. The one that I paid the most for was my least helpful coach ever. She's a nice person. She did not help me. And then I've had other coach, like Kim was free and she helped me the most. So,
Yeah.
and coaches price points can be all over the place too. So obviously that might matter for people, and then, some people have like programs where it's 3 months. They might do one-offs here and there, just as much as you need, 6 month. So there's an abundance, which can be great and challenging. So I would always start with just a referral, like put out to maybe you're at a group or on your Facebook, just very, very clear with what you're looking for. If you just say, I'm looking for a coach, that could be a health coach, fitness coach, life coach, business, there's all types. So get as clear as you possibly can to draw in that person that you're looking for. With the Beauty Boost, it's kind of like a sister company. So on the back end of what we do, we work with tons of local businesses. Every year, 50 to 100 local businesses. And then we work with national brands now that we're in so many cities, helping them align to our audience of women. And I was just finding a lot of commonalities, at least with the local businesses I was talking to, because it's nearly impossible to be an expert in every topic: social media, accounting, scaling your business. And it can also, while entrepreneurship can be deeply rewarding, it can just be as deeply isolating and challenging. That's why there's that picture of like the roller coaster that probably every entrepreneur can relate to. And so I was just like, wow, it'd be great if we had an outlet for the business owners we're working with. So Beauty Boost Biz is a number of things on a local level. We have cities that can opt into it where there's quarterly gatherings. It's not stuffy, it's high vibe, to help them meet each other, connect, and grow their business. And then there's a 1-year program that has different modules on different topics each month with different speakers that help them in different areas, everything from maybe contracts to marketing to social media to email growth. And then we have a big conference at the end of the year in Columbus in November.
How fun.
Yeah.
How can people get involved with the Beauty Boost?
Yeah. The website is probably the best spot to see if it exists in your city. So it's thebeautyboost.net, and there's like a cities tab. And if we are in your city, I would say just join in for an event. We have a brand ambassador team if you want to take it a step bigger. If you own a business, you can get that involved. Otherwise, if you don't see your city and you're like, gosh, this should be here, then there's an application to apply to bring it to your city, whether it's for you or just spread the word. And, if there's somebody you think would be great at this, then send them my way. My email and my phone number are on my website.
Amazing. I'll put the link in the show notes. Before we get into your action steps for the week, is there anything else you want to share about business, the Beauty Boost, beauty? We didn't really talk about beauty during this. Maybe we should have.
Yeah, for us, it's just more about inner beauty. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, our mission is to help women feel empowered, healthy, beautiful. But like the deeper mission, I would say, is just helping women live their best life, whatever that means for them. Inner beauty more so. But is
Yeah.
there anything else? No, I don't think so. I just think, if people are listening that are wanting to build a business, there's so much content out there. I would just say, like, ask away to people, ask people to, hey, can I offer, what's your coaching rate if I could just meet with you or do a Zoom call for an hour? Um, or ask people a specific question for advice. Or, like I said earlier, try to connect with groups and people doing the things you want to be doing. The worst thing is people will just ghost you or say no, or they don't have time. And if that's the worst thing, then great, I could handle that. And again, just try not to let social media paint this fake picture of like, it's all glam and it's so easy and you're going to get rich in 3 months. And that, I think a huge thing is genuinely like, I am in groups with multimillionaires, and the other day they didn't even know how to create a Zoom link. So people don't know what they're doing at the top,
Hmm.
even. They're just as smart as you. It's just more so, I think, having the drive and initiative to move forward and just figure out things as you go.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. I went to when I was in Las Vegas. I went to Alex Hermosi's event, and there were so many high earning people. I felt so poor there. Everyone was making well over 1 million. And I asked a question, and then the guy that spoke after me was making like 4 million a year, and he had basically the same question. And it was just so validating to know that, just like you said, we don't all have it figured out. Not even the people at the top have it figured out yet. So it's all a learning process, and being open to coaching and being open to having a growth mindset, as you spoke to earlier in this episode, that is really what will push you forward in the online space or just business in general.
Yeah, and I prefer to be the poorest person in the room and
Me
around all the
too.
people who are like above where I am versus, being the person in the room that maybe is at the highest, because that's how you grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No,
Mhm.
I love it too. I always try to be like the dumbest or the poorest person in every room. And those are like mean things to say about yourself, but that's how you grow, right? It's like put yourself in spaces where people know more than you so you can actually be pushed towards success and learn from the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every week I ask my guests to share 3 action steps for the audience to take based on the conversation. So there's so many podcast episodes out there. There's so many courses, so many books you can read, but really the action is where we make the change. So how do you want to challenge the audience to act this week?
This is challenging because it's like, are you just starting your business? Are you in the thick of it? Or, I would say, yes. Number one, I'm a big fan of like the notes app. So, or just journaling, but I would, regardless of what you do with your business, whatever genre it's in, think about how you want to live your days. So, a lot of times we get really fixated on like the business, but what's your deeper why behind it? So for me, my deeper why is not helping women. I did not start this to help women or all that. It was because I wanted to leave a corporate setting. I wanted to go visit my grandma in Wheeling, where I'm from, on Fridays, but I couldn't because my boss said you need to be chained to your desk. I wanted to take a workout class in the middle of the day and then go back to work, but I couldn't. So it started with more of my personal reasons. And then, of course, layered on to what I was hearing from women in the community, what they needed, what they wanted, and aligned with things I thought fell in my skill set. But I still go back to that even now, because once you get into entrepreneurship, there's that joke where it's like, I worked for myself, so I didn't have to work a 9 to 5. I work 24 hours a day now or something. And that can easily happen. So try not to just let your job or life happen at you, but really taking the reins of like, no, here's my boundaries, avoiding burnout and thinking about the life you want to live. Write that down and like literally come back to it. It might adapt and adjust all the time as different areas of your business, but I think it's really, really important no matter what level you're at, starting or really 10 years into it. Number 2, just making sure that you do have the right people in your circle. So, and if you don't, that's okay. Just knowing that is a step, and then thinking about where can you meet people. It could be class pass and you go to different workouts and just get out of your comfort zone and say hello to somebody. It could literally be joining a group like the beauty business, saying like, hey, I'm looking to make friends. Like, just there's Facebook groups now for girls to make friends. It's so cool. So putting yourself out there and making sure you have the right circle. And then 3, I would just say like designating some time in each week for self-growth, self-development. Like, I still go to the library to get free books. I still listen to free content online. So I actually just got back from a huge retreat it's called the Founders Club. And one of the things they said, which was interesting, they said pick 5 people for the year that you tune into. So instead of like grasping all this free content all over the place where you'll soak in some stuff, find 5 quality people and really deep dive in with them, because you'll take out more that way than you would like listening to 100 people over the course of the year with random pieces. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So if you resonate with that, or you could just take a bunch of content, but either way, carve in self-development time.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing those 3 steps. Those are really, really good. And thanks so much, Rachel, for joining me today. I've learned a lot from you, and I know the audience will too.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Employee to Boss podcast. If you made it to the end of this episode, I hope that you implement the actionable steps from this week's experts so you can get started with your business today. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the Employee to Boss podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It helps more than you could ever imagine. Remember, a little progress each day leads to big results. We come out with a new episode every Tuesday. To access our show notes, transcripts, and courses, please check out espressopodcastproduction.com.